Okay.
My first time, you guys.
Go live with YouTube dashboard settings.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm live.
Oh, I think OBS crashed.
Yours did?
Plastic.
Yeah. As soon as I pressed go live, OBS
It's
crashed.
like, no thanks.
Yeah, there goes.
All right, now I gotta go find
Reopen.
my live stream so I can see the chat.
Okay. Oh, can I
not
still
showing up
send a
in
message
OBS?
to my Discord? Yes.
Well, I want to watch it. I want to watch my live stream. That's what I'm trying to do here.
You want to see yourself?
Yeah, always.
Doesn't say you're live on the YouTube yet.
It says live on my dashboard.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I got you.
View on YouTube.
You need to go full screen on your Discord.
If I do that, it gets weird because my screen's so big. I have like the 52-inch curved screen.
Oh, I see.
So I'm just
then on OBS,
yeah,
you should
yeah.
stretch.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do.
I've got people in your chat. Let's see if I can go live without OBS crashing now.
Moment of truth, everybody. Here we go. Is it working?
Oh, look, Sean's around.
Yeah.
Go live. All right. I think I'm live this time. I think it worked without crashing.
I'm shocked that there's anybody who is watching this live stream. I've never done this before. And there's people who are actually chatting in. Look at this. Ian from Doc Wrangler, Sean. Oh my gosh. Caleb. I don't know who 902 Off-Road is, but hey, dude. It's nuts. Oh, Nate from Outdoor Auto, Overland Dads. I had bourbon with them at Overland Expo East. Cool. Wow.
Nice. We've got people. You have people on yours. I got one person on mine. Hi, one person.
Okay.
Hello, one person.
So should we jump into a topic since we're live streaming?
I mean, that's kind of the goal, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, Nate Miller made a comment here on my chat, said Overlanders ... using tech. Like, we're not technologically savvy, like he's impressed, or that like Overlanders use tech. I think it's the second. I think Overlanders.
I don't think he's that techno. I think he's well, I can't remember what he told me about like cameras and gear. Like he just doesn't. He's not about that kind of stuff.
Have you seen his shop?
I have seen his shop. He's all about that stuff. That's an amazing
full of everything.
shop.
Yeah. So
I
think he's a
we even
guy.
weighed my truck in his shop.
Yeah.
He's got these cool little, I don't know, Bluetooth scales, and you put one under each tire, and then you can weigh it.
I know for a fact.
And that's how you learned it was too fat.
I know for a fact
Yes.
that Outdoor Auto is a tech guy. He might be trying to hide it, but I'm telling you right now, he's a tech guy. I know. I just remembered. I know his background, which I won't say, but he's definitely.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now that you mention it, maybe he's just not a camera nerd like we are.
Oh, so 902 Off-Road. I just think 90210. So 902 Off-Road. My name's Adam, and I'm from Nova Scotia. He's subscribed to all of us. That's awesome. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for tuning in.
Hot dog.
Sweet.
This is kind of fun to watch.
You must have started first, Will.
Yeah, it's fun to watch your experience as your first live stream.
My mind is totally blown right now, you guys. I'm like
to just be so excited.
Out of body experience.
Someone would want to watch you sit in your office.
I know. So let me just show everybody. Like this is my office. This is where those chairs are where I do the podcast. And this is super interesting to everyone. I'm sitting at my editing station. Let me see if I can.
Is that 50 Shades of Grey I see back there?
It is. It's all four of them.
Will doesn't actually read those books.
Are there four of them?
I have no idea. This is my editing setup. Oh, there's the Big Daddy right there, microphone. Anyway, so if anybody's curious about my editing setup, that's what it is.
Will just has those books there to make him appear like he's an intellectual.
I have no idea what those books are. That's 100% true. Kate does the decorating. That's why this room looks so nice. And she chose all the books. No idea what they are.
I put some books behind me as well, so I could look like I read.
I don't put anything.
Rob, you have like 4 books and then a middle finger to everyone who's watching.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you have a book that's Turkey.
Yeah.
Are you going to Turkey?
Travel books. No, I've been to Turkey.
So you guys, Sean just chatted in that Justin, you're at the beach and it looks cold. Are you cold at the beach right now?
Yeah, it's frigid.
Which beach are you at?
This is it's just outside of Cannon Beach. I forget the name of it.
Isn't that that's a Utah?
Oh, yeah, it looks like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah, this is definitely a Utah beach. This is, for those who didn't know, Utah's landlocked, but except for this one beach.
Could be Lake Powell.
Raptor Pack Adventures said, "Good morning to you."
That's Sandy.
Fletch from All Things Overlanding says he has a book about turkey, but it's about deep frying them. That's the appropriate book about turkeys, I think, is how to or turducken. Do you have a turducken book? Have you heard a turducken? You take a turkey.
I've never heard of it.
You put it inside a chicken and then inside a duck, and then you deep fry them all together. Yeah.
Hey, does my stream hear me now? Hello.
Kevin wants to know what we're talking about today, and apparently we're just talking nonsense.
Yeah. We should get onto a subject.
Topic.
I did write some.
We are nonsense.
Okay, so first subject. Here we go, guys. EVs for overlanding, because this has been a hot topic for you, Justin. Like, you've been kind of promoting that you are ditching your Jeep, that you condemn anyone who drives a Jeep as terrible people. Just kidding. But you're looking at doing a Rivian for overlanding, which is something that's not really been done in our space.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's more like, to get back on that topic of how much I love tech. It was a big decision as I was starting this new business of like, I want to do this tech thing that I used to do. That if I get an EV, I can incorporate kind of two things together. And so that's kind of where the idea started. And then I started to look more and more into it. And I was like, I could find charging spots. I could find places to go. It could work. And a lot of the places I like frequent, it could work. The difference is, time it takes to charge or places to charge might include staying at like a KOA style campground and then making that work. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. First thing first, got to sell the Jeep.
Dude, did
might be a minute.
Did you see that trailer that's a battery? There's like this trailer that's made for Rivian.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like this,
and there's like
like this solar array that unfolds and gives you like an.
Is that what Optima had at the show? I think doesn't Optima have something like that they tow behind their Rivian?
Yeah, it's those guys. It's the Optima guys. It's the Optima guys that bring it to the show, but it's another like company, like design company, that made the trailer.
So go back to your little campground thing. How long does it take to charge a Rivian on, like, say you got a 50 amp plug at a campground?
I mean, I think if you're 50 amps, you'll be charged by morning for sure. I don't know what the miles per hour is.
So I have a Tesla, and Rob, I think you do too. That's all. So that's our little dirty secret that we just shared.
I drove Will's Tesla and then had to get one for. Actually, I say for myself. It's my wife's.
But if I plug it into just like a normal 220 outlet, then I think it charges like 4 or 5 miles an hour. It'll charge. Oh,
Will's gone.
Hold on.
If I plug mine into the wall outlet, that's 120 volt. I get like 4 or 5 miles per hour. So it charges super slow. But we put in a level 2 charger, and that is 240 volts. And it charges on mine, I think it's like 40 miles per hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Ours, we got one of the Tesla chargers. I think it's 40 miles an hour. So it's really easy to charge overnight. So if you had something like that at a campground, because they have like Sure Power at campgrounds, then maybe you could charge up overnight.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if those outlets are 120 volt, if they're 240 volt. If it was 240, then it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you could easily charge overnight. But if it's 120, you're not going to be able to charge overnight.
So I was
not a Rivian.
I was originally going to get a Rivian instead of a Gladiator. So a year ago, when I was looking at getting the 392, like, we had our Jeep JKU, and we had Toyota Camry, and a Toyota Highlander. Those were kind of our 3 cars. And then we swapped out the Camry for an Audi SQ5. That was Kate's kind of fancy go to work car. And then we still had the JKU and the Highlander. And when I got the 392, my plan was to swap out the JKU for the 392 and then swap out the Highlander for a Rivian R1S, the SUV. And then to show that kind of overlanding, but on shorter trips. Because we live so close to places here in Boise, we can just take a weekend trip and it wouldn't be a problem. But as I got into it, I realized that I really wanted to do a Gladiator build, that it would be more practical for overlanding and for running the kids around and stuff like that. And then we already, at that point, we had swapped out the SQ5 for the Tesla. And so it was like, well, we already have one EV that we can use for all the family stuff. So that's why we went Gladiator. But I'm really curious to see somebody actually take a Rivian out and use it overlanding on any kind of long distance trip.
I am too, and I think for me it's going to be a little different if I was to take one, because for both you and Justin, you both live in states where you can go out and have a weekend trip and do less than 300 miles for a little weekend out. So you don't need to worry about charging it. Whereas my trips, I live in Kentucky, so I have to get to Utah or get to Idaho, and I think that would be a difficult part of it. And then when I'm taking these trips, I'm doing things like, the Idaho BDR's, 900 miles?
It's 1,200.
So we'd have to... 1,200, okay. So you'd have to charge, 4, 5 times, probably more than that on this trip. So that's the kind of trip I do. So I don't know how it would work out for me, but I'm interested. Actually plan to, at some point next year, drive our Tesla out to Utah. So for like a daily driver, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We do 70 miles a day because I drop my kid off at his grandma's, and it's 70 miles a day driving that thing costs us like, I don't know, I think it's $1.40 a day.
Yeah.
Whereas I was spending like $15 in gas driving the GX or driving the Tundra a day. So it's amazing for that. I love driving it, and then I don't think I've been to a gas station in I don't know, since I drove the Tundra back.
Yeah.
From out west.
Yeah,
I just get home and I plug it in.
Yeah. The one thing I don't
so
like.
So it's amazing for that.
What I don't like about Teslas in particular, though, I haven't really driven a Rivian, so I can't say this, but Tesla's like, it doesn't really feel like it's my car. So like, you can do like the auto drive thing, and if you don't do it right, if it's watching you, it can tell if you're looking at your phone or something, and it'll say like, hey, stop looking at your phone, look at the road, and then you'll pull in the park. I'll get in the next day, and it'll say, we saw you looking at your phone too much yesterday, so you can't use those auto drive features for the next 4 times you drive the car. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I paid so much money for this thing. Like, do what I say. And it's like, no, you get penalized.
So do you have full self-driving on yours, or?
No, we did. No. They did like a month trial, and we did.
Yeah, we had the trial,
which I'll never do again. It was
I hated it.
It was not good.
Where else? Not so much.
Although on the interstate, I had it just slam on the brakes as we were driving. So that's another thing with
really?
Yeah, with like an EV for overlanding is like, how it actually drives and if some of those features work. I would love, like, as a drone pilot, I would love to have auto drive, so you can kind of not feel like you're always going to die. Not that we ever fly our drones when we're driving. I'm not saying that.
No, never.
It's just that would be a nice feature. So I got a couple comments I want to touch on. Ian from Doc Wrangler says, toughest thing about EV is that your buddies don't have them, so you're constantly having to be waited on. That's true. Overland Dad says, hey Will, you're going to be at Virginia in October. Right now I have no plans to go to any other events, so I'm not saying that I won't be there, but right now I'm not planning to be at Overland Expo East or Mountain West, which I think is next weekend or this coming weekend.
I'm definitely not doing Mountain West. I might do East.
Yeah.
I'm undecided.
I had fun with you at East last year. It's just for me, it's just a big time commitment and financial commitment to come out there. Another comment.
Yeah, it is for me too. It's close here.
Another comment from Todd Raymond. Good morning, guys. Watch all the channels. Question: desk chair or camp chair? Which sees more time? Oof. I'll answer that first.
It's probably about even.
Yeah, it's probably more desk chair for me because I still take a ridiculous amount of time to edit videos. But like this week, I'll spend 3 days at my desk finishing up my next trip video, and then I'll be on the trail all day Thursday, and then probably all weekend. And so, you know, I guess that's 3 out of 7 days. So, you know, relatively close. Okay, another comment. Caleb from Baker Overland said, "Gotta bounce." So bye, Caleb. You're dead to me. Let's see. Okay, so somebody says, "No way I'd take." I can't really. It's MJ Kicks 2. If that's a reference to Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan. EV, no way I'd take those vehicles overlanding in the middle of nowhere. No confidence I'd make it back out. That's a legitimate concern. Like, it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah, I think you got a plan. I feel like the thing is, I feel like we've got a plan with our vehicles. The nice thing is, you know, with my Tundra, it's easier to find a gas station than it is a place to charge. I can't hear Justin at all. I see him talking,
can't hear you,
but
Justin.
I don't hear him.
Yep. Justin's the tech guy.
So that's
we just lucked out.
I'm not talking to you guys. I'm muted.
Oh,
don't worry.
Okay.
For whatever reason, if I turn Discord audio on, I lose stream audio. My stream can't hear me.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
If only you knew about a program called Wave XLR.
Yeah. Right?
Justin's on the phone with OBS right now.
I am. I'm over here. Let's see.
So I think it just takes some planning, a little more planning. And with a gas one, you know, like when Justin and I were planning the Pony Express, we did plan for gas, and we looked at how far it was between gas stations, and we saw that we were unlikely to make it. So we took extra gas.
Yeah.
And that's harder with an EV. You know, even if you took I looked at the Anchor battery packs that we take with us. If you took one of those and plugged your EV into it, you get like 5 miles range.
Yeah. I think that's gonna get figured out, but it's not figured out yet.
Then one of the cool things is though, so like let's say you run out of gas on the trail, you can always have someone bring you more gas, right?
Yes.
If a Rivian runs out of charge on the trail, if you can have someone tow you, you can charge it up.
Oh, with the wheel generator things, right?
Yeah, with the regenerative braking. I think it was Car and Driver. One of those magazines, or now websites, did a test, and they towed their Rivian for 6 miles behind a Tundra, and they got 50 miles of range.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Well, that's cool because like the other thing you can do with gas is you can like flag down somebody and like siphon their gas, like, you know, or just borrow the extra gas that they brought. Like it's really swappable commodity when you're out there. But that's interesting that Rivian, you can do that. I mean, that's actually pretty great if you're out there. But again, you have to have somebody who has either charge on their EV and enough to tow you, or somebody who has gas.
Yeah. You're relying on someone else there. Which is kind of good. It kind of goes against the whole point of overlanding, whereas, you know, the goal is to be self-reliant.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're still relying on gas stations.
Justin, there's a comment from Josh Sweeten. Sounds like a sweet guy. He says, need more Broncos, less EVs, LOL.
I got the same comment. And Sempo Gumby's here. Joe says he can hear. Joe, you can hear Justin? I can't hear Justin. Oh,
you guys can hear me, but then my stream can't. It's freaking weird.
That's hilarious.
So I don't understand how my computer can get an input that works and not send it to stream.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Very frustrating. I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. So give me a sec. I'll be back.
Okay. So John Hueniger.
So weird.
That's a cool name. Says John H. I'm an old dude. I'll stick with gas. Yeah. I think I'm going to stick with gas too for a while.
Oh yeah.
So I think the jury is in on this. Like for overlanding, gas is still king, but it's really cool that someone's going to take a little bit of a risk and experiment with how an EV might work. That way we can all watch and judge them.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's no way I'm giving up my Tundra. No way.
Yeah.
just too difficult. But I would love to. I'd love to at least experiment. I think, like I said earlier, I'd like to drive our Tesla out to Utah, see how it is for these long distance trips. Because from what I've read, you know, there's always two different things. So I see these things on Facebook thing. Like anytime an EV comes up, there's two different types of comment. There's the people who are like never EV, and they're telling everyone else how awful they are at everything, despite having never driven one themselves. Yeah. And then there's people who actually own them and like, actually, it's not as bad as you think. And I still think that for a road trip, I do think it'd be a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced it's going to be as bad as everyone says it is.
Yeah.
All these non-EV drivers say they are. You know, because there's things like, you know, you get the comments like, "Oh, I don't want to have to charge for 3 hours every time, you know, every 100 miles," and it's just not the case. You know, having taken hours on, we haven't done long distance road trips, but we've done, you know, further than the range of the Tesla, and the most I've ever waited for a charge was 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes I got 50 miles, and that's all I needed.
Yeah, we've taken ours on longer trips, not too long, but you know, where we had to stop twice. And we never waited to get a charge. One was like outside of Pendleton, Oregon. There's like a Native American casino, so you can like, you know, it takes like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So we just like went in and got a bite to eat, and you know, watched people losing money for a few minutes, and then they came back.
Yeah, and that was for a full charge, right?
For full charge, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like with ours, we've never fully charged it. You know, we'll go up to 80%, and that gets us to the you know, our next stop.
Yeah, I've got there's some comments in here I think are worth addressing. So first of all, Mike Bishop says, "Morning fellas, just tuning in. What's the topic of the stream or just chatting?" Mike, we have multiple topics that we're going to get to. We just started talking about EVs for overlanding, and we're probably done beating this horse to death, and we're going to switch topics. But there's a couple more topics we're going to talk about. Justin?
Okay, Rob and guys, can you guys hear? I'm fighting over here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Rob? I can't hear you guys. Can my screen hear me?
You're the tech guy, man. Like, you had the worst luck today.
Yeah.
Folks, we practiced this yesterday.
Justin,
we did practice this yesterday, guys.
What is this?
It worked perfect.
We practiced it, and Justin was the one helping us get set up.
Yeah.
Look, Rob's over there. Yeah, he's probably calling me names.
So I've got people in my chat saying Larry Hardy says he can hear you, Justin. So.
Yeah, Joe says that he can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to
Kevin says we should talk with the EV manufacturers about outfitting and sending us out with an EV to review on the channels. And I may have suggested that to Rivian about the R2 when that comes out. Whether or not that ever happens, probably not.
Hello,
these manufacturers they don't care who we are.
Am I here?
Yes.
You're back. I have an echo. Freak. Whatever. I'll listen to myself.
Doesn't affect us.
It affects me. It's freaking weird.
That sounds like a you problem.
It's 100% a me problem. And now I'm a robot. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I might be done.
My will's gone.
I'm still around, you guys. My camera's just got mad at me.
You sound good to me, Justin.
Well, thank you.
I can answer some questions on here. Yes, Semper Gumby, you can. There are some EVs that allow you to charge from other EVs now, and then you can also tow an EV and it will charge it. So you can have a gas vehicle like my truck could tow Justin doesn't have one yet, but if he were to get one, I could tow it and it would charge it. And yeah, Gregory, I agree. Gregory says it seems like a future, but lots of kinks to work out. And I do think we're still in the early adapter phase. You know, even though they're becoming a lot more mainstream, there's a lot of these new companies, they'll start off with the really expensive ones. And that's the way to do it. Like, that's why Tesla was so successful, is they had that couple of really expensive models. Because that way the adopters, the people who are doing it, can, you know, if you're spending a lot of money on a vehicle, you can afford to have it go down for a bit. you can afford to wait for repairs. Whereas, what was that company that went out of business? Like, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember their name
The
though.
EV company.
Yeah.
Like recently, they had like a fire sale on them. The problem is they started off with the cheap ones, trying to get the mass market, and they weren't reliable. And if someone's buying a cheap vehicle, it's because it's the only thing they can afford. They need to have something reliable. So yeah, I still think we're kind of in that early adopter phase.
I agree, but it's fun to see people experiment with it, and hopefully we can see Justin experiment with it because he's a great content creator. Okay, I have some questions in mind. Can I read them in, Rob?
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So this is a can of worms, but maybe we can keep it short. Which do you prefer? Onyx. This is Jim Yeager. Awesome last name if it's truly Yeager, or it's Jaeger. What do you guys use most? Onyx Off-Road or Gaia?
Can I share my screen? There. Does that answer your question?
Oh, I don't see anything.
Oh, you guys can't see it, but yeah, it's on my I think. Yeah, I actually canceled Gaia. So I paid for a year of it in September last year, and it was just coming up for renewal this year, and I got an email saying it was going to be $60 this year. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying $60 for it. It's not that good. I love the maps.
Yeah.
And I love the layers on there, but they're just maps. And I feel like you get a lot more for your money with Onyx, and it's half the price.
So I was a Gaia person, True Blue, because the truth is Onyx is just kind of newer to the scene, and when Onyx came out, I was fully into Gaia, and so I didn't really want to try a new mapping software then, and then I started talking. Then lots of people started using Onyx. I started hearing from you, Rob. We did our trip in Idaho last year over the Lost River Range where we did it all on Onyx. And that was when I kind of was first exposed to it. And then I started talking to them. They came on as like a channel sponsor. And so I started using it more and more and learning it. And what I love about Onyx is that it's so easy to use for like most people. It's really intuitive. The technology is, it's just all kind of there. You don't really have to choose very much. And the routing the routing function and all that work really well. What I like about Gaia is that you can get really rich, deep data in some of those maps if the data is correct, but a lot of it is. But you can get like 72-hour precip forecast maps and things like that, which is really cool. But I have stopped using Gaia. And I'm kind of like only on Onyx right now. I still have a lot of data left in Gaia that I pull out from time to time, but I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I do think that Onyx is more affordable and kind of gives more bang for the buck right up front. But I do think that there's a use case to use Gaia, especially if you're somebody who really likes that deep data. I think that
I get that. Like the maps are really nice and they're all in one place. I will say one thing about those maps though is like that the forecast, you can get that for free, I swear.
Yeah, well,
with like Starlink, you don't pay $60.
Yeah, with Starlink, some of it's becoming irrelevant because, I think all of us have Starlink now. So when we go out, if we really needed to, we could pull real-time radar forecast and see what was going on.
Yeah, then Starlink makes a big difference for that. Like one of my complaints with Onyx was the map downloads. Well, I've got Starlink, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. But with Gaia, the only reason I kept it was I used it for the VFR layer. So I could see, like if I wanted to fly my drone, I could check the VFR maps. But I've got another app now that does that for free. And it does it better than Gaia did. And the other thing I did was the snow depth. Mm-hmm. But again, you can get that for free. I think it's the National Forest Service has a website you can go on. It's got like the snow maps across the whole of the US.
Yeah. Onyx says that they have a snow layer, but I couldn't get mine to work when I was out in the snow. And the snow layer on Gaia was way incorrect when I was out there.
Oh, it was incorrect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was out in June.
So with Gaia, they use, I don't know what they use, but it's it gives you actual snow depths. Whereas with Onyx, when you pull up that snow layer, it shows you the most recent satellite image.
Oh, okay.
So So you can just see that it has snowed there. It doesn't tell you how deep it is.
Hi, I'd like to contribute.
Oh, okay.
Please, we'd love you to contribute too.
Now that my things are quasi working. Okay, so this has been passed around Reddit quite a bit actually the last little
Do I
bit.
need to watch your stream? Is that what's going on?
It says my stream is still running. That's weird. We paused your
So
preview.
I have an option to watch stream in.
Same.
Oh, maybe that's how
Discord.
you do it. Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
So
All right.
I just shared a screen. I don't know.
Oh, you look at it's a feature list, everyone.
Oh my gosh.
So this is actually not a feature list, because you'd look at this and you go, man, they got a ton of features more over. No, this is how much data tracking each app is pulling from you. So Onyx Off-Road.
Oh, interesting.
If you want to know why it's so cheap, it's because it costs you in other areas. And that is where they are sharing or taking or using your data.
Yeah.
So Onyx Off-Road is everywhere. So data used to track you, like there's not even any of that on Gaia or on Trails Off-Road, but they're tracking location, contact information, your user content, search history, browsing history. Like there's a lot that Onyx is doing to, and I'm not trying to wear a tinfoil hat here. Like I use Onyx Off-Road, but I think that there's something in, I'm currently unaffiliated with them, so I have all the rights to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So is that what data they're collecting or what data they're selling? Because if you go to their website, it says they don't sell your data.
Right, but that doesn't mean, in a breach or anything, like,
who knows that's what they're collecting from you.
Yeah. So this is gotcha. Data. Yeah. So the data permissions, basically.
Okay. So and that doesn't necessarily mean they're selling it, but that's what they're collecting.
No. But exactly, yeah. Whether it's to run ads or whatever, but there's quite a bit.
Where did you find that? Onyx like, where can people go look at that?
Yeah, because I can't see it very well. It'd be interesting.
So way down to the bottom, there's trademark stuff, but this has been passed around on Reddit on the R Overlanding. Like anytime someone brings it up, like I swear every day someone goes, "Hey, what map apps do you use?" Sure. And this gets shared, so I've saved it from that.
So that's interesting because one of the things I did is I looked at the permissions and I saw, so it says on the Onyx website, and this is when I checked probably 6 months ago, so it may have changed. It said that they do not sell your data, but then when you go to the Gaia website, well, actually it's Outsider now. It says like we may use your data and sell your data to third parties.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I had against Gaia.
Which I wonder what that means. Third parties. Does that mean third parties inside? Because now there's like Trail Forks and there's like Outside is this massive conglomerate now. And Gaia feels like it's just become the redheaded stepchild and ignored. But I think Outside bought Trails Off-Road too, didn't they?
Oh,
isn't Gaia bought them or something?
I don't know. I haven't used Trails Off-Road a whole lot.
Yeah. I like Trails Off-Road. I like the concept, but
I like it too. It's really good for certain trails.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really great in Utah. It's amazing in Utah because I think they're
like if you want to go to Moab, it's the best for the Moab trails.
100%.
Yeah,
it's just so limited.
Everything's documented.
Anyway, I thought I'd share that.
Thanks for, that's really interesting, dude.
That's interesting.
Now, how do you turn it off? Okay, get out of here. Close stream.
Oh yeah,
get out of here. Yeah. No, but back along the lines of I'm also unaffiliated right now, so I get all the freedom to speak my mind. I love Onyx Off-Road, and I've used it forever and ever. And a big part of me moving away from it publicly, like I still use it, is purely because I think that there are benefits to so much of the other software that when we accept a sponsorship, we lose access to that knowledge. Like I haven't used Gaia in years. And I reopened it and I was like, oh yeah, my flight maps aren't there anymore. That's stupid. Or like now there's a new dark sky mode, which is pretty cool to have the dark sky layer to know where you're going to get better night photography. Yeah. So if you're heading out for the asteroid showers and all that stuff, like, oh, I know I should probably find a spot in this area because it's got less light pollution. Like that's pretty cool and stuff that doesn't necessarily appear in Onyx, but like, when it gets down to that, like that's such niche information, like what is your real goal but it's like, what's your real goal in planning a route? A lot of times it's, I just need to know if I can do it and I can do it safely. And I think that's where Onyx Off-Road shines, is it's going to give you photographs. It's going to give you recent trail reports. Because like any user provided data in Gaia is usually on accident. Someone forgot to turn off that they didn't want their, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the user provided data in Onyx Off-Road is so much better and so much more accurate and so much more current that it's what I rely on when I'm trying to find somewhere to go and thinking, okay, I'm taking the family, or I might be taking an EV there, as I've been route planning some stuff for the Rivian, and it's like, maybe I don't want to do that. Or that works because the data is more accurate. So that's where I think Onyx really shines. I think there is a lot to be said about still Gaia, Trails Off-Road, the Dirt. I don't know if you guys ever use the Dirt, but like that's really good for finding some of those cheaper paid campsites. I love that for that. Like the van lifers, and when they're like, oh yeah, this one's like a Mon Pa campsite and it's great, and they got 30 or 50 amp power, you're like, okay, cool, noted for the EV world and what that might look like. But I don't know. I think we as YouTubers, and I know that viewers definitely are like, they're berated with the word Onyx Off-Road. So we as YouTubers, we kind of lose or forfeit some of that responsibility to accurately report on which tool is best for the job, because they're all good. Let's be real. They're all good. They're fine. You can do anything in all of them, but I still stand by, I think Onyx Off-Road is probably the better of them all. It's the more inclusive.
If I was going to buy one thing, that's what it would be.
Yes.
More value.
But you don't have to limit yourself.
Yeah.
You can get more than one thing.
I have.
That's why I had Gaia.
I have all three. I have Gaia, Trails Off-Road, and I have Onyx.
Yeah.
I use them all different times, but not everyone does that. I have an opinion. I have an opinion I want to share on and people are sick of seeing YouTubers promote Onyx.
Just sick of seeing YouTubers.
Yeah. So here's because I see this comment, it comes up, and it's usually on Facebook or something, and which is like the most toxic place.
Have you been to Reddit?
No, I have not been to Reddit.
No, I stay away from that.
I stay all the way away from Reddit. But what I like about Onyx is that they're supporting content creation in this space. They're the only one who's really broadly supporting content creation in this space. So I can't tell you how many of my friends who have much smaller channels than me and much larger channels than me are all supported by Onyx in different ways. And so, yes, for Onyx, it is advertising, it's awareness, it's getting their name out, getting a discount code and signing up for that free trial, all that stuff. That that's why ultimately that's what they want, is they want more users on their platform. But the fact that they figured out a formula to support broadly support content creation, to me, is actually should be applauded, because that's something that most companies haven't figured out, because they don't truly know what their customer acquisition cost is. They don't truly know how much they can spend, and Onyx has dialed that in. So it's different for everybody based on your reach and how people click and all that stuff, and it's really sophisticated. But I love that Onyx is supporting all of these creators. My friends who maybe don't have any other sponsors are working with Onyx in a deal that seems fair to them, fair to Onyx. So I like that. I wish more companies would do that, like broadly support content creation.
I like it too. It's allowed me to be very picky with sponsors, because creating videos is very expensive, especially when you live across country and you have to commute to Utah or wherever from Kentucky. It's incredibly expensive.
Right.
And if it was just reliant on YouTube income, I don't think I'd be able to create as many videos as I do, or go to the places that I do. So it's helped me by picking up sponsors, and Onyx is one of those ones that I use anyway. So it's just so easy to talk about and just fits in naturally. It means I don't have to stop and to have some sponsored message by, like, I don't know, testosterone supplement or something. Who I have had
those are great.
Timu.
See the emails we get.
When you're middle-aged, testosterone supplements are great.
I will say,
I'll forward their contact information to you then.
Yeah. Along the lines of support, like I said, I'm no longer sponsored by them, and that's just the direction I'm taking things. But they still want to support, so they give me a really good commission should anybody use my links to sign up. Like, they still want to support however they can. So it's not like my departure from taking sponsorships has nothing to do with the brands themselves, but more just the image I feel like I've been presenting for the last few years. So Onyx, to that point, they're still quality people. It's still a quality program. Like I said, it's still what I use, even though it's not a logo plastered on my videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've tried. So I still, well, up until recently, I used Gaia. My Patreon supporters will know this. I use Gaia just for the tracking side of things because I hate having a messy map. So I was using Gaia for that. But I think they updated the app recently. It like destroyed it, so I can't track anymore without my phone overheating and the battery dying.
Yeah, or if the screen turns off, it like just draws a straight line to your next point.
Yeah, it just ruins it. I did it because I thought the Gaia could be shared for free, but apparently they have to sign up now. So that was one complaint I have with Onyx is it's hard to share with someone who's not on Onyx.
Yeah, you've got to download a GPX file.
You can't put folders inside of folders, and that is just
yeah.
It's like I would love to have a folder that's just like shared tracks, and then inside of there's all the stuff I share. My hand disappears here. Weird. Goodbye, hand.
That's true. That's not something I've come across. I don't do the folders within folders.
I'm sure Onyx is going to solve for that though. Like they're constantly
here's some insider info. That was the first feature request I asked them in 2019.
For folders in folders.
Yep, folders. I wanted to be able to have a folder tree because at the time I still wasn't really big on Gaia. I was actually using Google Earth because Google Earth is amazing for mapping. Their 3D maps are bar none the best, and it was impossible for me to wrap my head around how am I going to organize all of my stuff inside of Onyx. And I think the difference is Onyx doesn't really care to have you organize it. They want their map to be how it's organized. Like it's on your map. Why would it need to be organized? But there are so many times you're like, I just want to isolate something.
Yeah. I hate having lines all over my map.
Yeah, and I think they're learning because they've even like the spaghetti lines have definitely decreased in their recent update. Like all of the blue lines are gone, and now it's rated colors. It's so much better. Yeah, but it's still
all of my folders are hidden except for the current thing that I'm navigating.
Right, which makes kind of planning a little difficult because I don't know. Again, I would love to be like, okay, just turn on my Utah maps and turn off.
Oh, that's how I've got it organized by state.
That's smart.
Yeah, but then inside of that, you can't do anything, right? Yeah. I can't go, oh, I want my Utah in my Moab area, or my Utah in my Uintas area, or my Utah in my West Desert. Like that would be really great because like I don't need all of the data turned on.
I think for like 85% of the people, that's probably not a problem. But for those of us who are like super users, it's actually a big problem. Like,
well, I mean, put it in the elite membership then.
Yeah, exactly. So on my live stream, there are a bunch of really great comments coming in about
I've got good comments on mine too.
I would just encourage folks to read through those comments. We can't address all of them. Where do I get the testosterone supplement? Matt Ward,
this live stream brought to you by GNC.
Yeah, totally.
The most random. I should go through my emails and we'll talk about the most random sponsor
I do want to say thank you
to Jackery, who won't leave me alone.
I want to say thank you to Buzzy Fuzz Adventures. He just did like a $5 super thank you thing, I think, which I've never had before. So I don't even know what that is, but it's awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Buzzy Fuzz. That was rad, dude. There is a question I think might be interesting from Crawlander. This is from a bit ago, so this is one that I saw and I thought it was interesting. It says, as a content creator, do you think the overland space is shrinking? Do you think that the vehicle makes the channel or the storytelling, etc.? So there's two questions in there. So number one, as content creators, do you think the space is shrinking? And then what do you think is more important, rig or story?
I don't know about shrinking, but maybe plateaued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that feels like the word.
The market, we're seeing the market plateau a little bit, and there is still an influx of new content creators who are putting out, all their trips. And so if you're somebody who's on YouTube and you want to go search for Moab or basically anything in Utah, you're going to get served a million different YouTube channels. Some of them have 100 subscribers. Some of them have 300,000 subscribers. And so I think, that's what I've seen is that there's an influx of content on all these areas that dilutes things for people who are trying to grow their channel in a way that you really have to set yourself apart.
So I think you do. And there's some amazing stuff out there.
Yeah.
What was that channel I shared with you guys the other day?
Oh my gosh, so good.
Lebanon or whatever.
Just
I
incredible.
had,
like
I have to pull it up.
production value. Some of the stuff out there is just incredible. So I would say that
He had 300 subs.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing they just started, but they're
yeah.
not going to be at 300 subs for very long. They're going to skyrocket. I think. So like rig versus story, like I think everybody knows my answer to that. Although I do have 2 new rigs, but I bought them for me. I didn't really think that they were going to propel my channel forward. I really think that it's story over everything. However, there are different audiences out there. So I think we've seen Brad from Chow Recon go Toyota. And I think that's a really smart move on his part. Like he's got a really large Jeep following, and he wants to, appeal to a new audience and test out a new rig, and maybe has a new relationship with Toyota. And I do think that it doesn't not matter at all, but I don't think that's what drives a channel. I don't think that a channel is driven by the rig. It's really driven by the places you go, how you tell those stories, and all that. What do you guys think?
I'm not sure I necessarily agree. I think it depends on the individual who's watching. I think as much as all 3 of us wish it was driven by the story, that's not always the case.
Right.
All of us want it to be about where we're going and what we're doing, not the vehicle itself. But anytime one of us buys a new vehicle, we lose subscribers. Well, Justin and I do.
Yeah.
I do.
How many have I had? Jeeps, so. So there are definitely people who are subscribed to Will's channel who are there because they want to watch Jeeps in action.
I think take it to any other niche, right? Like I obviously I'm going to talk about tech, but like I love like Marquez Brownlee and those things. When Marquez does an Android video, I don't watch it. Right? Like I'm not there for that. If he does something on cameras, I'm in. If he does something on, something from Apple that Apple sent him that I'm like, okay, cool. Cause I like that. I think that we can't fault our viewers for having their preferences either. Right. Myself, I am not a vehicle loyalist. I don't freaking care what the badge on my car is. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. I've always said I try to make Utah the other character in my videos, but I'm not very good at doing that because clearly people care more about what I'm driving than where I'm going. So I don't know. I think it also depends on the type of video, right? Like story means such different things to all of us, right? The story can be I've had this, and this, or it can be, I woke up and I drove on this dirt road and I ended up here and I cooked this, right? Like what's the story you're trying to tell? The story of your vehicle choice selection, the story of where you're going, the story of, how you got unstuck, whatever your story is. Sure, there's story in everything, but I don't think the story is the same for all of us.
I totally agree with that. I would say
Joshua just said,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just got to ban this guy. He said Android for life. Joshua.
You're out.
Hey, that's fine. But again, that's cool, man.
I guess my point is this. I agree with both of you. My point is this. If you are not good at the storytelling piece of it, if you're not good at presenting, content, your rig isn't going to make you successful. Your vehicle choice won't make you successful. You might have some, but get a
Cybertruck. It's viral.
Yeah,
waiting to happen.
Absolutely. There are those things that pop, but I don't over the long term. I think that it's a craft, it's a voice, it's a personality that is doing these things. And yes, I think vehicle choice is important and does draw or exclude viewers. But I do think that the most important thing is how you go about communicating that on camera and putting that together, for the enjoyment, entertainment, education of people that are watching. So I don't think that they're mutually exclusive, but I do think for me, if somebody asked me what's the most important thing, I would say, it's how you put your information together on camera.
I think Gregory and Paul just said that both of them find new channels based on the vehicles. And thinking about it, like when you find a new channel, the thumbnail, like that's the first thing you see.
Yeah. What is the discovery, the title, the thumbnail, right? Even the names of channels. Like I think I'm the only one that my channel is just me, right? It's not just an Overland. It's not outside Overland guy.
Yeah.
It's me. And that was very intentional because I didn't want to lock myself into a box. So
I have to share with you guys, well, when I say you guys, I mean people watching. Damien Peyrot.
Nope. Not
probably some
Peyrot.
French pronunciation. Actually, I think he's based out of Texas. Yeah, he's based out of Texas.
Based out of Paris, Texas. Yeah.
So
Paris, Texas. Yeah.
So yeah. So search on YouTube, Namibia, a retro overland adventure. That's the video I was just talking to these guys about.
Fantastic.
It was the thumbnail that jumped out at me. It just popped up on recommended, and it's one of the best produced videos I watched in a long time. He had 300 subscribers yesterday. I think it's 400 now. Next, really good.
Yeah, the first 30 seconds are just incredible.
That's a very white screen.
Yeah, we can't see anything in there. Thanks for nothing, Rob.
Oh, I think I've got manual exposure on, so yeah, it'll never show up. But yeah, search for Namibia, a retro overland adventure.
Here's a comment from Dan, from a Dan Needs a Name. He says, I feel like some creators like to act like they're inclusive of all wheelers, but then they drive Jeeps all the time. And if they're with a friend that has a Toyota, their videos bash them all the time, and that gets old. So I can understand that. Although I do think that probably, I don't know about the channels, but certainly that happens on my channel all the time. Like, we make fun of each other on our rig choice, but it's super good natured. It's really not meant to be like a true bash. Maybe that happens more severe on other channels, but I mean, we bash each other with our Jeep, with our like modification choices, with our, all the stuff. It's just about being friends and making fun of each other.
I bashed my Jeep when I had one.
Yes, you
I think
did.
It was awful.
Yes, you did. Yeah, that was. Yeah, you're a guy who got a Jeep. I don't know if you got a bump from having a Jeep, because it was pretty clear that you didn't like it.
No, I didn't. And it's nothing against Jeeps itself, because obviously it's fantastic for what it does. I can't think of a better off-road vehicle, a more capable off-road vehicle, especially when they're stock, or you add like what I put the metal cloak lift on there. I feel like it was unstoppable. It was so good it's cheating.
Yeah.
You point it in the direction you want to go, and it just does it every time without fail. But driving from Kentucky to Idaho, or Kentucky to Utah, or wherever, is so bad. So it's not for me.
You guys, David from Off the Grind just chatted in, that I've seen for the first time. David,
who's that?
Yeah, who's that? Nice to see you, David. Sorry you're not with us right now. We wish you were. Vehicle is the initial draw. Storytelling and personality keeps people and builds community. I don't know, David.
I think something I've been, and this is a big shift, and you guys all know this, but like authenticity to me matters so much. And I think so much of where like our responsibility is like, if I show up in a video and I'm selling testosterone supplements, and then I go out and I tell you, hey, I want you guys to really consider donating to Tread Lightly and becoming involved in your local trail systems, and that, it's like, it feels so backwards to be like, I'm trying to show you how to be responsible, but also, have you heard of Temu? This these guys really.
Oh, that's another one that emailed me about.
So I think there's, you don't get to choose your ads when you watch Hulu, or when you don't get to choose what is being served to you when you're watching a football game or something. I mean, that's all.
We're endorsing something by taking.
But by us saying it from our own mouth, it's a different story than YouTube dishing up an ad. So that's why I say, like, my end of authenticity is like, I want to be able to be so, I mean, not necessarily translucent, but transparent enough to when I do give an opinion on whatever I might be giving an opinion on, it can be trustworthy, because it comes from experience and that point of. So let's say it is the 3rd gen Tacoma. I add one. I will dog on that car. That thing is a garbage truck. Like, I hate the 3rd gen Tacoma, and I know that because I paid Toyota to own one. Right? I can't speak to their new one. Never even sat my butt in one. But that still doesn't mean that my opinions haven't bled into it from my previous experiences. Sure. It's the same thing. Like, anytime you go on a forum or something, the only information you're going to see is the negative. People are like, oh, I've heard that truck only has problems, because people only share their problems. How many people are out there actually sharing the positive things? And that's where I think we have to be stewards of that. Like, yeah, my buddy came with me and he had a X, Y, or Z, did the same thing. Like that trip I did with Charge Overland and his Rivian, that was very convincing for me, because he led me down the trail. He was in front of me on the trail, and I was like, this thing's doing great.
Yeah,
I am very impressed for such a heavy electric truck to do what I'm doing in my Jeep. I was very impressed. So like, I don't know.
I think
yeah,
you get two different sides of things though, because sometimes if you go on the forums, you'll get the people who, like, you get the people that complain about every little mistake, every little problem. But then at the same time, you get someone who spent $70,000 of their own money on a brand new Tacoma. They want to, I don't know about justify that purchase.
I know what you mean.
But,
yeah.
Like they don't want, they're probably in denial about certain things. Like it's
about
perfect.
Some of those quirks. Yeah. Yes.
They don't want to admit that they made a $70,000 mistake. Right. So you also get the people who are overly positive and ignore all the problems. And the fanboys.
In the camera community, Gerald and Dunn has brought this up. But it's like camera companies have figured it out. They fly the creators out. They put them in a hotel. They do this huge on stage. Only the creators are there for it. They announce the camera before the launch. And all the creators are then pumped. And then they say, hey, go put it in your hands. Make a video about it. So the emotion is already set in place that they're going to go out and they're going to, I got this camera, you don't, let me show, and it's amazing and it's the coolest thing ever. And it's like, I've been put in those positions. Like I drove the Ranger Raptor and I don't have a video of me driving it because when I made the video, I was on that hype train. I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's freaking amazing. They just let us jump these. How rad. And I started to edit the video and I was like, this sounds like I am just 100% the Ranger Raptor guy. I was like, this thing, it's all screen, right? To lock the locker, I have to hit a button on a screen. That's ridiculous. And then so it's like a lot of those quirks were lost because of the emotion tied with the positive experience of getting it early and being a part of it, and like personally invited by Ford to go out and do all these things. And it's like we have a responsibility to try and see through that and cut through that. And whether it's in our storytelling or others, like we can be positive or we can be negative when it needs to be negative, right? Like I can come out and say like I am so mad at Utah for closing all of the trails in Moab, but I see why they did it. Right? There's a side to that that's my emotions tied to it make me mad, but the logical side is people are idiots and Moab is very difficult to visit right now because of the idiots.
I think that I have two thoughts about what you said, Justin, which is a really great statement. I think that number one, that excitement, that bias that is kind of created through excitement is relative, and that each channel kind of goes through a progression of how to deal with that. So what I mean by relative is that the first product video I ever did was for a pop-up fire pit, and the guy, I can't remember, it was a company just a retail company, and he just gave me a discount code. I got it for $50 instead of $80 or something. And I was so excited about it, right? Like that's like the entry level, like that excitement, and it kind of filters the way in which you present it because you're so excited about it, I think is relative. And then as your channel grows, I think you go through this like, oh my gosh, someone actually wanted me and my channel to put something on my channel special. How special is that? To like, oh, there's a revenue stream here. I can make money doing this. To like, wait a minute. Like what you're saying is like, I have to be really careful about what I do. And like the money is actually the least important thing because that'll kill my channel in the long run. And I think that everyone navigates that progression or journey a little bit differently, but it's, if you look at any channel that's been around for a while, you can probably go back to their videos and see some version of that, unless they just decided not to participate in that stuff at all.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely like YouTube where there's no education for it. So everybody has to go through the school of hard knocks when you're a YouTuber. I hate that we're saying these things, but we are. And but it's true. It's like there's that tinge of shame, right? Like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. I make a living off of my videos. I get sponsorships. I get commissions off of sales. There's something weird that they're not into that. But then it's like, what do you do for work? Yeah. Like, don't you go work for the man and get a paycheck, and maybe you sell whatever you sell, or you provide whatever service you provide, and it's okay for you to collect a paycheck. But me, like my 80-hour work week, I'm supposed to give it away for nothing. Like there's that side. But then on the flip side, it's like, yeah, you're using me as that you have your day job and you're what's new on the internet, what's entertaining, what can I watch, where should I spend my money. So we have that flip side of that to be that all of these boxes we have to fill as creators, and it's difficult to navigate when you are trying to say like, I need to make a paycheck, so yeah, I am going to take deals that maybe you would disagree with, Mr. Viewer, but got mouths to feed.
Yeah. And then how you navigate that, it's not wrong to do it necessarily. It's just how you navigate it. I have made big mistakes doing that, I think, now looking back. Okay.
Yeah,
so we've been talking about.
I have one.
Yeah, let's. I was like, Compass Runner had a good point. Yeah, he said he'd rather watch what's good about the rigs versus what isn't working, and I think that to some extent, negativity never, like, you'll see channels. I've seen people complain about channels how like everything's so great, but that's because I don't know if you guys are the same. If I don't like something, I usually just send it back. Or I don't use it.
Yeah,
or just don't use
because
it.
Negativity just doesn't. People don't want to watch it. Like, I've got a Zero Breeze here that they sent me 2 years ago to do a review on. And they'll still email me every 3 months, like, when's that review coming out? I'm like, I've offered to send it back because you're not going to like the review. It works, but
I think there's a point in which it could be helpful. Depending on what it is. So for example, one of the things up on my idea board is 5 reasons that you shouldn't buy a Jeep. Like, you shouldn't buy a Jeep Wrangler, but it's helpful because I meet people who think they want a Jeep, but when they drive it, they really don't like it. Like, so there might be some things to say like, hey, look, if this is what you want, if this is what the way in which you're going to use it, like, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like the rattles.
I wish you'd done that sooner.
You're not going to like all these.
I know a guy.
If you want, if you don't expect it to be a Toyota when you get in and drive it, that it's going to rattle, it's going to have wind noise, it's not going to tow or do lots of things very well. If you're okay with that, then yeah, you should definitely get one. But if you're not, then don't waste your money on it up front because it's a painful lesson. So I think there's sometimes when you can not really negative, but like educate on some of those things. Like, do you really need a Zero Breeze, or can you find a mountain?
But that would be what you'd be doing would be balanced.
Yeah,
because you're offering, you're like, this is what it's great at, but then this is what it's not so good at. I think I did a similar video after I sold ours. I did like Forerunner versus Wrangler, and they're 2 totally different vehicles. But so many people think they want one or the other.
Yep.
And they want to choose one or the other. Like you see on like the Facebook groups, the Overlanding Facebook groups, like people are like, should I buy a Forerunner or a Wrangler? It's like, well, do you want this or do you want this that's totally different?
Oh my gosh,
and in both of them, I was negative about both vehicles. They both have some negativities. The Forerunner sucks at certain things. The Jeep sucks at certain things, but then they're both great at their own strengths.
Can I just say that when I see those things on Facebook, I generally don't comment unless I see that like you've commented first or somebody else has commented. Like, I look for your stuff and then I make a joke about whatever you said and then maybe I'll comment in. Otherwise, I just try to avoid those. Like, they're just traps. Hey, can we talk about subject change? Can we talk about upcoming trips? As long as we're all here together.
Yeah.
So like, what do we have? What do you guys have in the works? What do you, Justin, what are you doing next? What's your big trip or a trip that you're working on?
Boy, that's a good question. Nothing. I have nothing planned. And it's that weird transition from learning how to have a kid to now how do you do what you were doing before the kid with kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing. A lot of it is just life is nuts right now. And so the idea of leaving on a big trip just doesn't feel like the timing is right. And that's okay. I think that's something like, this might be our job, but everybody watching us watches us because they're probably in the exact same position. Like, man, I wish I could take a week and go on a big trip. Right now, I can't. And it's even my job to do it. So I have nothing in the works.
Yeah. That's tricky. Rob, you went through that too, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, you just kind of started.
Yeah, and I've seen Justin's kind of done the same thing I did, where you go out on a small trip, just you and your family without a camera.
Yeah, and then that's what it's been.
See how it goes. Yeah, and then when he was 3 months old, we did a big trip and learned a lot of stuff. Stayed in a few campgrounds and ended up flying my boy and my wife home because the drive from Kentucky was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't do that with 3 months. It's a lot. Like, I do have the benefit of living in Utah. I could go anywhere. So I don't know. We're navigating all of that right now. And like with the Jeep for sale, there's this like, how much do I want to continue to use it before selling it, or do we just go back all in on the Jeep until the market levels out and people are ready to buy?
I did the same thing with my 4Runner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I fixed it up, replaced. I had a couple of things that were a little worn, so I replaced them. And I'm like, well, I don't want to use this now. It's ready to sell. I washed it.
But then it's also like, oh, I just fixed all this stuff that, I mean, fixed. The truck's still basically new, right? But like, oh, it's like I just, tweaked all these things. Now I want to go out and use them. Like I just rebuilt my whole front bumper. I'm like, man, I want to go put this to use again. So there's this weird mental thing in my world I've got to overcome.
What about you, Rob? What do you got
James,
going on?
I need to answer your question in a minute. So I can share my screen to my stream. This is something right now, no trips. Well, I take that back. Right now, I've got to edit because I got like 3 months worth of content that I'm working my way through. I'm going to do a Patreon only video that I'm shooting next month. But I'll probably talk more about that later rather than right now. But I am planning something maybe this fall. Let's see if I can share my screen to my viewers. So this is something I've been working on for like 5 years. It's the Rim to Rim Trail.
Rim to Rim.
Which may or may not be its final name. But it takes you from the Grand Canyon North Rim all the way up to the Rim Rocket Trail. Mostly off-road.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
And I want to publish it. Yeah, I want to publish it and share it freely with people. Make some patches for it, something like that, and put them on my website. And I just need to run it and make a video on it.
Yeah, I have to run that with you.
Oh,
yeah, that might happen this fall.
I got a trip we could tie into it.
Ooh,
I got one of those projects I've been sitting on, and it would be cool to do it the same. Rob knows about this. I've told you, Rob. Ultimate Utah? No? Yes? Is it something
I think you have, yeah. Kind of based on the trip you and I did.
Loosely, yeah. It more like it's a chain. So it starts at the north end of Utah and ends, Moab. So that would be kind of cool to tie Ultimate Utah to Rimrocker, but you're doing yours in the opposite direction of Grand Canyon to Rimrocker, huh?
You could run it the other way around. It's rim to rim, so you can do either one.
I know. That would be kind of cool to tie those two ideas together.
The name is not final.
Ultimate Utah is a great name. That sounds like a pizza. Rim to rim, never. You should never Google that term.
Yeah, Ultimate. How long do you think your rim to rim would take?
We can call it. How about we call it? I don't know. I need my chat to come up with a name. But it goes from the North Rim to the Rim Rocker.
It's very descriptive. It's just also those are double entendres.
I would imagine you could do it in 5 days if you were going for it. Now, if we're videoing it,
8.
It's going to take longer.
Yeah.
And also, it goes through or past several national parks. I think it actually goes past all of them.
All 5
of the Utah ones, I should say. Yeah, the one that's furthest away from is going to be Zion. But it goes right past Bryce Canyon. It goes through Capitol Reef. It goes right past Arches, like along the edge of Arches. It goes right past Canyonlands. So, if that's something you're doing with a family, it's going to take longer. Because you're going to want to stop.
We should tie ours together. That would be really cool. But it would take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how long it took us to do that.
Do 2 videos.
I mean, that's not 2 videos. That's 14 videos.
Yeah. See, now if I'm going to do it, it's coming out as a movie because it's...
I guess, yes, a movie, but like 14, 22-minute episodes and then a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ultimate Utah is one I have been sitting on, and I've figured out how to do it with an EV. I know all the charging stops, which would be really cool to to side by side those and show like I did it in the Jeep, and now when the EV is eventual, you could do it in that too. So it's like I feel like there's a selling, I say that, but you know what I mean, a selling point to look at this insane adventure someone did in a Jeep, and then they went and did the same thing in a Rivian. Maybe EVs aren't as awful as everyone says, or as I presumed them to be. So
yeah,
Joe says edge to edge.
Edge to edge.
I feel like that's something that could be thought of there. Ed says,
let's just call it tip to tip, man.
It's just
So okay, so let me.
I feel like there's no good answer yet.
I hope to do that with you. I think adding those together is awesome. Like I just experimented with creating a new route to publish for everyone. Like doing a trip, creating a route with the intent to put it out there. My vehicle is Onyx, so like Onyx, we came up with a deal to put this out and publish it. And I think they're still working on like how they launch long distance routes. What they want is
it took them like a year and a half to get the Pony Express launched on their app.
Yeah, exactly.
Forever.
Yeah. But like I think what they want that long-term interaction with the map, and these longer term routes I think really help with that. And for me, it's a great vehicle to put something out there that people could actually see a lot because they've got a broad reach. And so I'm just finishing up that Oregon route, which is done. I'm just like writing the descriptions for, when you click on it, you can read about the different sections of the route. I want to do the same thing in Idaho. So Oregon was kind of an experiment to see if this idea would take. The idea took. I don't know what the results will be yet. I'm really interested to see if people actually go on this route and if they enjoy it. I learned a lot about creating a new route. It's actually pretty dang hard, but I want to do one in Idaho. Number one, because I know Idaho much better than I know Oregon. And I think there's some really spectacular spots that are missed by the Idaho BDR. Just that's kind of why we did the Oregon route. We were not super excited about the Oregon BDR route, so we wanted to do something that went east to west. So that's something that I'll be working on over the next 2 years, I think. This year in this next month in September, I think we're going to try the NorCal BDR, assuming that it's not like smoked out or on fire. And then I was just chatting with my best buddy Chris last night, and in 2025, I really want to do the Oregon Trail from Missouri to the Oregon coast. And part of it's because it's something that I've been dreaming about doing for a long time. But the other part of it is that Chris's family was on the second wagon train from Missouri to Oregon, and he still has their original homestead land. He's actually the steward of the land in Dayton, Oregon. And somebody in that same family was the first woman to ever scale Mount Hood. I mean, there's just these incredible stories that are tied in to Chris and his family's journey that I think would be really fun to go explore as we're trying to figure out what that trail is. So that might be a 2025 project. Yeah. So lots of room for you guys to join in or not on that one, because it's probably going to take us 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'll run it in parallel. I'll do the pony.
Oh yeah,
and we'll meet. We'll meet on the coast.
We'll do a race. We should race.
We did some of the. We did some parts of the Oregon Trail in Wyoming, and there's some really pretty sections. My only complaint with it is, of course, when they're doing it, they're trying to go the easiest, lowland, smoothest route possible. Yeah. And it often avoids the mountains, which are the pretty areas.
I'm not a purist. Yeah. I think that we'll try to do it in a way that is fun for us and makes a good video at the same time. So I'm not a super purist, and you can't do the whole thing anyway. Like you have to kind of skip around, but so,
James says he's done the Oregon Trail many times, but his oxen usually die.
I have dysentery.
Yep.
Awesome.
He actually had a good question earlier. So when you're done talking about your Oregon Trail.
Yep.
Okay. He says, we rarely show other vehicles out there. How is trail etiquette and traffic? Is it bad? Are there a bunch of people on the road? Are they rude on the trails as they are on the road lately?
Yes.
Are they crowded? Are the trails in Utah crowded?
I think we also try and respect people that are recreating around us. You don't want to show them because you have no relationship with them. Putting them in your video is kind of just a faux pas, in my opinion. So as I do run into people or someone's on the trail, I turn off my camera or I just don't include that in the edit. unless it's something happening that needs to be seen. But I don't know. I mean, if it's a popular trail, like if you're doing 90% of anything in Moab, you're going to run into side-by-sides, and they're generally rented by people who don't know what's going on. In fact, Utah this year implemented a required quote-unquote license or permit to drive even a side-by-side off-road. So you have to do an online course to understand some of the etiquette. And rangers are out there. They'll stop you if you're on a motorcycle, on a quad, or on a side-by-side, and they'll check to see if you've completed the course and have your little printed permit with you. So are people getting bad at it? Yeah. It's 300 miles of Moab were closed. So
yeah, I can imagine Moab's probably the worst for it because of
swell is people coming awful.
Who don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot of I mean, mountain trails up here, anything behind the houses, like all the rich people who live up in the foothills here, they have access to the same trails I drive, right? So they're taking their $60,000 side-by-sides and ripping them, and it's like sometimes I don't even want to go up to what's behind my house anymore.
It's pretty busy up there the few times I've been up.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I've not noticed that issue as bad in other places I've been. Like out in this summer, I've been out in California, I've been out in Oregon, out in Idaho, and have not come across a lot of people on the trails. And usually when I do, I don't film them for two reasons. One of them being the same as you, Justin. You don't want to film other people. And I hate flying drones around other people as well who are not involved in it. And then the other is it's, you spend hours going along this really remote trail, and then there's like a Honda CRV parked camped there.
Always
or
a CRV.
A Honda Odyssey. It's either a CRV or an Odyssey, the minivan.
Yeah, it's always a CRV.
I did that in Arizona, like going along the way. I thought it was like this really cool remote trail, and here comes a Honda Odyssey coming the other way on street tires. So see, don't include those because it kind of spoils it a little bit. Although I did include the UPS van doing a water crossing in one of my videos.
Yeah.
But trail etiquette. I just if you haven't watched my video around Flagstaff, you got to watch that one because that is one example where I did include people in the video because I followed them at maximum of like 12 miles an hour for about 45 minutes.
Oof. Yeah, if you've got somebody behind you, just pull over and let them pass. I mean, for goodness sakes, like the ego thing. That all the things that happen on a paved road happen on dirt roads. It's just, you have a little bit more personal connection with the person on a dirt road because, they're not exiting on the interstate. It's like it's almost like more personal when they don't let you pass or whatever. I haven't noticed a ton more in Idaho. I still go out and see no one at the places that I normally go to, which is shocking to me because I know there's more traffic, but I think that just goes to show what kind of capacity Idaho has. I did see a ton of people on the Rubicon. So like I did the Rubicon in July and we saw 1 million people, but trail etiquette was pretty good. I mean, I think anytime you get a lot of people on a trail, you're going to feel frustrated or frustrate somebody else at some point because you're making decisions for you, not for them. And they have their own agenda and their own timeline and all that stuff. But like, I would say that it was generally really, really good. And people were really kind and patient. We only got annoyed like at one particular group that we thought they were just being inconsiderate, but that only lasted for about 5 minutes, and then it's the thing that you remember and talk about, but it wasn't the nature of the trip. The nature of the trip was really, really friendly. And I think that, the Rubicon might be a little bit of an exception because they pour so much time and effort into that trail, into etiquette, into having people out there a lot. It's patrolled. You can get a DUI for driving because it's patrolled by like 3 different, it's like the county sheriff and the city police or whatever. Like, it's really kind of focused on a lot by a lot of different resources. So I think that might be an exception, but it was certainly the busiest trail I've ever been on in my life. But my experience was still really good.
I can imagine that one's a very busy trail.
Well, it was also like...
especially because you're going to be waiting for people to do certain obstacles. Like I imagine there's lines for certain obstacles.
We didn't get that too much, although it was right before Jeep Jamboree. And so we had all the volunteers were bringing in supplies for the Jeep Jamboree. And so there was probably 50 or 60 Jeeps that all had Bantam trailers bringing in, like, a trailer full of beer, a trailer full of toilet paper, bringing in for this event. And so we hung out for a good 2 hours watching this convoy come by. But it was awesome, dude. It was like seeing all the different Jeeps and saying hi to people. And, so we didn't wait in line too much, but we were there midweek. Our last day was a Friday, and that's when it was totally crazy.
Mm-hmm. Justin, are you still here?
Yes. Just turned off my camera for a sec.
Okay. What did you guys do as for a job before you started YouTube? And then how do you afford the vehicles you've got?
Oh, great question. Why don't you start, Rob? It's your question.
Me? Okay.
Yeah. And Justin, I was going to say, Justin left us, but he's back.
Yeah, I was a teacher. Being a teacher does not allow you to afford a really nice vehicle. But while I was teaching, I obviously had summers and breaks during the year that allow me to go shoot YouTube videos. And it was never my intention to be a YouTuber. I just did it for fun. And I think having two sources of income did help me for a while. So it allowed me to buy the 4Runner, which was dirt cheap. I think I bought that 4Runner. It was like $15,500, I want to say, to buy. So I did buy that one. Or that was helped with YouTube income. And then to afford the truck I've got now, I actually sold my last house. We got really lucky. I don't know if you remember, like right after all the COVID restrictions lifted, the housing market went crazy. So we'd actually put money down to build a house before all that happened. So we were locked into the price on the house we're in right now. And then in the year it took to build our house, so almost exactly a year, the housing market went crazy. So we bought the house we're currently in for a really good price. Like when we closed on it, it was worth way more than we paid for it. And then when we sold our old house, we made way more than we ever thought we would. So I was able to use that to buy the Tundra that I've got. And then I sold the 4Runner, and that was when the vehicle prices went crazy. So I sold the 4Runner for quite a bit more than I paid for it as well. And that paid for lift and wrap and some of the bigger modifications on it. So that's how I afforded that. Who's next?
Justin saying no.
I don't know.
No, not
I'll go.
Question.
I've had about 1,000 jobs, but the two that stand out the most is I worked at Apple Retail, which there's plenty of information you guys can dig into my stuff on that on my channel. But that was like how I got through college. That's actually where I met my wife. That's where I introduced my sister to her now husband. My brother worked there with me. Like, my family is an Apple family. It's weird. But no, I studied and worked in architecture for most of my life. I got started in that in high school, competed on national levels, which, I don't know too many high school kids that compete in architecture competitions. So that gave me credentials.
When sport?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So on the national level, I competed in architectural design, and that was really easy to find work after that, because you'd show up and you go, oh, yeah, I competed in this, and like have a portfolio of work at 17 is weird, but I did. So that kind of got me in on the ground floor in a bunch of places when the economy was good. And then from 2007 to 2009, it sucked. So luckily at that time I was actually serving an LDS mission in Romania, so I didn't have to deal with that. But when I came back, that's why I ended up working at Apple and also working in architecture, because no one wanted to build anything, and anybody who wanted to pay a designer, like, there were full-fledged licensed architects taking drafting jobs. So anyways, I kind of balanced both, working at Apple, which was a passion job, along with architecture, which I thought one day I would be like the next Frank Lloyd Wright or something. And then I woke up one morning and I was like, you can't, like, starchitects, as they are called, aren't a thing anymore. That's just, everything is firm run. It's very corporate. It's very political as far as, leveraging your experience against those you work with, which is really weird. And in 2017, I was working in projects. I was designing F-35 hangars, which was freaking awesome. Like super cool job. I had just finished working on the Salt Lake Airport. Their team was doing that. I'd done a bunch of multifamily housing jobs. But having been moved to government projects when after the presidential shift 2016 to 2017, a lot of the budget for F-35s was cut. So if they're not building new planes, they don't need to build buildings to put them in. So my team was let go. And I woke up and I was like, what am I going to freaking do? Like I could go try and find a job in a weird economy with, I hadn't gotten my degree yet. I was just working on my hours to become an architect, yada, yada. And I just kind of fell into social media and all that. And it evolved, working for a company running their social media to, I want to do that myself. So I actually quit that company in March of 2020. Go figure. That's when everything happened. And so it was like, yeah. And then that was shortly after like the monolith and Ford was talking to me, things were happening. So it's just like, I'm going to run with this. And it's been highs and lows. It's a weird thing. So affording vehicles is I don't even know how it happens. I don't know how I'm at the point that I have the truck I have. When like my first Tacoma I bought, I was like, holy cow, how did I do that? How did they even say yes to me? and now it's like, here I am where we're fortunate to be where we are, and it's not without our viewers. It's not without making mistakes and finding successes along the way. So when I say anyone can do it, they can, but you can't look at where we are. You have to look at the whole path. It's the overland thing, right? It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And damn, if it's a journey.
Oh yeah, certainly is. Yeah. And I guess something I forgot to address on the truck side of things is, I guess, selling the house, bought the truck, and then I paid for some of the mods through selling the 4Runner. But through all the when we have X number of subscribers and X number of views, thanks to you guys who are watching, that attracts people who then want to outfit the vehicles, which in turn helps us get to more places. So we've been very lucky with companies that want to support us. I know there are a few that are very, very supportive. Iron Man's been one that's been very supportive of me. They'll drop everything if I ask for something, if there's something I need. But I know we're all probably in that same boat now, where outfitting the vehicles is thanks to the help
Absolutely,
of
others. Yeah. And I think that's for those who are trying to get into it, and I don't want to take away from Will's time, but for those who are trying to get into it, it won't happen tomorrow. It's like you're not going to wake up and have brands knocking on your door. And, like we've said earlier, the caution is brands aren't everything, right? Your viewers are your own, your storytelling. Continue to work on what you think matters and give brands only enough access to make you feel like you can continue working because it's a job, but also continue to do what you want to do. Because those are mistakes I've made. Those are stumblings I've clearly had in my past.
Okay. Before I did this, I don't think I'm the oldest here by a lot. So I have had multiple careers. So my first career was as an actor. So I have a master's of fine arts in acting and directing. And the first 10 years of my professional life was spent in New York City, going around acting in different places all over the country and doing different projects like that, which was a ton of fun. And then when Kate and I decided to move back to Idaho, I went back and got my MBA. So I have a master's in business administration, and I got into startup investing, and started working with funds and investors to invest into startups. I haven't quit this piece, but I still have a very small fund administration firm. So I work with first-time fund managers who want to raise a fund for the first time and invest in startups, and I help them kind of navigate that process and advise them on the best way to do it and all that stuff. I also ran operations for a business consulting network in Idaho. Pretty small. I mean, we had 60 employees, so I had, relatively small team. And did that for a while. So I was doing those two things and YouTube full time for like 2.5 years. So the grind is real. I tried to act like I was a full-time YouTuber in terms of like trying to get quality content out on time and, consistently and all that. And I still struggle with that because I still struggle with it. Like, it's not perfect, so it can't go out like, good, like, perfect is the enemy of good or whatever, I still kind of struggle with that. So, but I saw some potential, I missed the COVID bump as a Overlanding YouTube creator. So I've been kind of in the grind since the very beginning. I didn't have, I didn't really have anything that really took off to like boost my channel up super fast. It's been a pretty slow, steady growth for me. I mean, I've had some overlanding videos that have done well. But so for me, it's really about the love of making the content. It drives the business of it. The business of it has come second, and I'm still figuring it out. It's very doable. When I figured out that I could actually run this business as a substitute for my full-time income, or there was at least that potential there, that's when I decided to plan a little bit, in advance to walk away from my full-time job of running that consulting network to doing this. And it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I keep telling myself, your job is to make videos, Will. Like, your job isn't to respond to comments. I mean, that's kind of part of it, but your job isn't to like make Instagram posts. I mean, that's kind of part of it, but my job is to make highly entertaining, engaging adventure videos, informational videos on the space and all that. And so like, it's, on one hand, it's like freeing and amazing, and I'm the most creatively fulfilled that I've ever been, even as 10 years and as an actor. On the other hand, it's way more terrifying because it's really, you can only control so much. You can only control the content that you produce. You can't really control what happens after you put it out. And so what I find, and YouTube is really hard, is that if you live by the numbers, you die by the numbers. And so as I've gone full time, I've really tried to focus less on the numbers of how a video performs and more on just my own artistic satisfaction with that video. A good example of this is I just did this father's video, like how overlanding makes you a better father. And it was just a really like personal testimonies from my friends about being a father and how that's helped us become better fathers. And I kind of knew the video wasn't going to do very well. And it hasn't. Like, in terms of views, it would be not a successful video. But I think because it was important to me and artistically I wanted to make it a certain way, I put that video out. And I think it's had a really positive impact on the people who have watched it. And so I hope that the more I do that, that there will be successful videos. I can't control which ones will be successful. But if I always try to jump the shark, or I always try to figure out what's going to be popular, I think for me, that isn't the way. I think that sounds like an unhappy lifestyle. So that's what I've been doing. In terms of how did I afford my rigs? I have two very expensive rigs. I have a Jeep 392 that cost a lot of money, and I have a Gladiator that was also expensive. I bought it like at the height of when Gladiators were stupid expensive, and those were paid for by saving money, by being smart with our investments, by working really hard to save money. And my wife Kate and I have both been working since we got married at 22, and so we've just been kind of try to be smart with our money and invest it and save it in ways, and that allowed me to buy that. No incentives from Jeep on either of those, but what the other two guys have said is definitely true for me too, in that like I have really fantastic support. I think no surprise, Metal Cloak supports my channel and has been fantastic support for modifying these vehicles. Nitto has been a great support for tires, and kind of Factor 55 has been a great support for recovery gear and making videos with me that I have done really well. And I feel like I'm forgetting one. Anyways, but they've been big supports for building the rigs and getting
Epic, maybe
Epic Adventure Outfitters. Yeah, for sure. They have provided incredible service. Thank you for saying that. I just got back from BC, actually. That video is coming out next week. So anyway, that's my story on that. Great question.
Yeah. I think we all have shops that we work with. Like, I've got Commonwealth 4x4 here in Kentucky. I've got to mention them. Like, anytime something needs done to one of my vehicles, like I know who to call. I think you guys have Epic that does it for you.
Yep. Yeah, although it's
a
not
little
like,
bit of a drive.
I can't really go to Epic to for an oil change.
Yeah.
It's got.
No, I mean I wouldn't go to Commonwealth for an oil change either. I just go to Tire Discounters for that.
It's a commitment to go up there, but they
you're a long way off for them.
Yeah.
That's a significant drive. That's probably as far as me driving to your house for some work done on my vehicle.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the guys at Commonwealth are just down the road, about 30 minutes from me. Actually, probably going to go there this week. Got some stuff to do with the GX.
Any more questions in your chat that you want to bring up, Rob or Justin?
I wanted to ask you about, now we talk about like reinvesting money into the channel. There's an investment you're thinking about for this winter.
Yes,
Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. That was like next on my list too. So one of the things that we get to do as full-time content creators is we get to adventure all year long. And last year, I really experimented with doing more winter content. Some of it, in terms of the numbers, did really well. Some of it didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do, but I had a lot of fun doing it. So I did, I think all my trips last year were collab trips. I did one with Nate from Dirt Lifestyle, and then I did two with you, Rob. And I had so much fun on those trips. But we ran into some snow that we couldn't get through on all of those trips. And so you and I were like texting yesterday or the day before, and I found a pair of snow tracks for Jeeps used on Facebook Marketplace that I'm very, very tempted. I just got some more information on them, and the idea would be have a small utility trailer, tow it behind whichever Jeep I'm taking, the Gladiator or the 392, but probably the Gladiator in the winter because there's more room for like diesel heaters and stuff in the back. And then switch out at the trailhead. It takes an hour or an hour and a half to put those on, and then from there be like breaking trail for everybody else. So for me, that sounds like a ton of fun. Rob and I got to get into a Can-Am last year in Atlanta, Idaho that had tracks on it, and it was insane to just climb right up the side of a mountain and be in, I don't know, it was like 3-foot powder. We were just floating on top of it. So that idea, I think in Idaho makes sense because we have fantastic snow, kind of like Utah, very similar kind of snow structure, lots of mountains to climb up that are very close to my house. And so we'll see. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but yeah, I'm basically taking all of my proceeds for the first 2 years and reinvesting every penny in growth, in new equipment, in new experiences on the channel, and in trying to make it affordable for my friends to come. So like for me, it's really important that it's not just me, that I get to go out with, my friends, my local friends too. And so, I do my very best to make going out with me when I make a video that I make money on, not cost them a bunch of money. And that's really important to me.
I really want you to get those tracks. That's
that's a good price. I don't say how much they are, but it's a good price for tracks.
Yeah. It's funny because I found some for about the same price that would fit on the GX and the Tundra. Yeah. Just, I need a good few months of YouTube, maybe.
Dude, I would love to do a video that has your Toyotas on tracks next to my Jeep on tracks. That would be awesome.
The Tundra on tracks would be bonkers. That would be like 13 feet tall. Yeah. It'd be huge.
It would be really tall. It's 8.5 feet tall without tracks.
Yeah, that would be so big.
Yeah,
it would. I'm just reading your chat. It's funny. I've got people telling me that you're quiet on my stream, Will, and then I have people in your stream saying that I'm quiet.
Oh, I try to turn my
mic up. How do we?
I don't know. I'll just yell.
Yeah.
From now on, I'll just
Which
yell.
Is probably why now I'm.
So I sound all right.
Yeah, apparently you're okay.
After the guy who was having audio issues is.
Yeah, I don't think we can win though. I think either you're gonna be too loud because you're speaking too close, or I'm gonna be too loud because you're. Yeah, whatever. We'll just go with what we've got.
Hey, Matt from Fries on the Side just popped into my chat. What's up, Matt? Thanks for.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Bye, man.
Yeah, he was in mine. He said you're crushing it, Will. I was gonna pass on the message. I guess I was too slow.
Yeah, so this is my first live stream. So for me, it's a lot of multitasking. It's hard to kind of keep up with what's going on in the chat and have a conversation. So this has been a learning experience for me.
Especially multiple chats, right? Like if all three of us are going and all chats are at the same time, that gets really, clustered.
Yeah,
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I got to get going. So I'm going to leave you guys.
Okay. Bye, Justin.
It's 11 and it's time to do work.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it is.
This is still a job, and I'm not streaming now, so
I
have to actually go take this time and do some work. So my 2 hours is up. You guys are good people. Goodbye.
Well,
goodbye.
Let's see. Is there any other questions you have on your chat, Rob, that you want to address? I'm just scanning.
Oh, probably. I look at them, I read them, and then I forget about them. I can go back up. That means I have to read and then not talk. But yeah, it is a lot to keep up with. If you're doing it by yourself, it's great. It's easy. But when you're trying to chat with other people, I did the Lego streams a couple of times, and I found I made so little progress. Like, it's a Lego kit that I would have finished in an hour by myself. And trying to stream and do Lego at the same time, like I'd read the instructions and then forget about all of the pieces I needed to grab.
Dude, I think I tuned into one of your Lego live streams when I was first doing the Oregon AOR, and like we finally got cell coverage, and I
remember,
pulled up your YouTube channel. I was like, oh look, Rob's doing a live stream. Oh, he's building Legos. What is he doing? I don't have any. I don't have any questions on mine. That I can see, unless you guys, if I missed the question, I'm super sorry. We'll get better at this as we go. But really good chat, really good discussions happening in the chat about some of the topics we're talking about. So I'm hopeful that people in the chat were like, I can obviously tell they were chatting to each other and sharing information with each other, which is awesome.
So what are you editing? Because I know you were editing yesterday, and you're probably going to continue today. What are you coming out? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so my second Oregon AOR video. So we tried to build this route across Oregon. The first time was unsuccessful. At the beginning of June, Chris and I went back and we fixed the entire route, which is why we're launching it. And so I'm about to launch this video. I'll probably finish it today and publish it tomorrow. And it's our day 3 and 4 on this trip. And we get into some snow. We make some stupid mistakes, get into some snow, and we spent, I can't remember how many hours it was, but we only went 3 miles in a day.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like recovery after recovery after recovery. And we tried to double back and get off, and we ran into, the snow had changed, like it had warmed up, and the snow there was no base to it. So we were just literally sliding off the mountain. And so I'm making it sound probably more dramatic than it's going to come across on film, just because like it's really hard to film that stuff when you think you're going to die. Like you think you're going to, now it's like, wait, let me go set up this tripod, or like, hey, to my son, hey, make sure you film daddy sliding off this road. So I did my best, but I think that it's going to be a fun video to watch. I don't know how it'll perform, but it'd be fun to watch. I do have, along these lines, there's one last question that came in. Maybe there's 2 now, that says, thoughts on having your kid on video. This is good one for both of us because we both do this. I'm thinking of having my daughter do my videos, publish my trips via the kids' perspective. Thoughts? I'll share first. I have really hesitated putting my kids on camera because they're not old enough to choose, like really choose whether or not they want to have a social media presence. And so for me, it's kind of a protection of them. And I've been doing it more and more lately as they have really expressed a genuine desire to be on camera and to help me film these trips. But I'm still really selective. I try not to use their names very often, even though I do use their names from time to time. And it's just like the parent in me wants to protect them from the online world, which is can be pretty disgusting and awful. And so that's, that's my perspective. Although I am doing it more and more, and it's so fun to see my son, especially, who's really into this, on camera with me, shooting with the camera. I get his takes on things from time to time. I've been giving him a camera now on trips, and he's kind of doing his own vlog, none of which is really usable yet, but it's a lot of fun for me to review. So yeah, that's my answer. What about you, Rob?
I've kind of had mixed feelings as well. I include my son, and I don't name him. Just, that's one of those things. Once that name's out there, you can't take it back. And I know some of my viewers know his.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I think, yeah, it's all about personal decision for you and your family. Rob, my live feed has frozen. So I think folks can hear us, but I'm frozen now. So I'm going to end the live stream and we'll try this again. Maybe I'll try it with a different camera next time that doesn't turn off every 30 minutes and freeze. Oh, really? Maybe people just need to refresh it. I'm not sure. Weird. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of that too. Okay, dude. Well, let's do this again. Maybe we'll do this next week. All right. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining in.